Hey everybody, happy National Prosecco Day. I've been excited to do this conversation because Prosecco is one of my favorites. So a little bit about me. I am 1/3 of Noir Valley and we are committed to wine education. And we started Noir Valley after experiences that I'm sure many of you have had where we go into this wine space and nobody looks like us. And when we were asked why not, people say, well, I don't know. And so we started Noir Valley to help educate people that look like us about wine and that it doesn't have to be this mystical thing or culture that is for everybody. And so Noir Valley is all about creating a safe space for Black women to engage in self-care, celebrate themselves without having to code switch, all while enjoying wine culture. So we do wine tours, wine tastings, wine socials in the DC area. Now, me personally, I prefer Italian wines. If you've had any conversation with me, drink wine with me, you know that I like Italian wines. I found myself drinking a lot of Prosecco. And so what I decided to do last year was, well, let's go to Italy and see if you really like it the way you think you do. So I took a plane, a bus, a train, and a taxi to the region of Italy where Prosecco originates to see if I really liked it the way that I thought. And I actually came back loving it even more. I think seeing how everything is family operated, it gave me more of an appreciation and respect for it. But it was just really cool. And of course, it doesn't compare to hardly anything that we have here. But some things you can find here are pretty good. So today we are going to talk about Prosecco. It's National Prosecco Day, the basics of Prosecco, and then I will share with you why I prefer Prosecco. I will put Prosecco up against any bubbles. If y'all want to do another battle of the bubbles, that's fine. Just let me know. I got to place another order first, but I'm always down because I think Prosecco is really amazing. I don't think it gets the credit that it deserves. So starting with the basics, Prosecco is a sparkling wine from Italy, and it is made with the Glera grape. Up until 2009, the grape was called the Prosecco grape, but in 2009, Prosecco became one of the protected regions. And so they changed the name to Glera. And so it has to be made with Glera in order for it to be considered Prosecco and from the regions that I will show you. Now, oddly enough, the Prosecco grape is actually also grown in Australia. So while they can still use the Prosecco grape to make sparkling wine, they are not allowed to import it into Europe since it is a protected area now. So now it is called the Glera grape, and it has to be, well, I'll get more into that. So the reason that Prosecco is different than champagne is also how it is made. Prosecco is made in a tank, so the second fermentation that gives it its bubbles is done in a tank versus a bottle. And it's meant to be drank young. You're not supposed to hold it for years and years and years, which, I mean, everything has its time and its place. So I really enjoy it, even though it is meant to be drunk young. And it comes from the Veneto region of Italy. Let me see if I have some other pictures up here. So now, when I talked about Prosecco becoming a protected origin, so you have the DOC and then you have the DOCG. DOCG is going to be higher quality. So you see the boot of Italy. The Veneto region of Italy is in the northeast section. It's over there near Venice. And so if you look at the lighter color is the bigger region. That is where if your bottle says DOC, it comes from somewhere outside in this lighter region. Now, if you look at your bottle and it says DOCG, DOCG region is between the towns of Conegliano and Valdobiasene and also Oslo. I think I have another picture. Okay, yeah, so Italy, this is the Veneto region. And then so this area is where DOC is produced, which is the larger production area. But then this little red dot in here is where you get the DOCG from. And so Conegliano is over here, Valdobiasene is over here. And then within Valdobiasene, there is an even smaller region called Cartizzi, where the Grand Cru of Prosecco comes from, which we'll talk about a little later. So to be the top quality DOCG, it has to come from Conegliano, Valdiviadene, or Oslo. So the difference between the DOC and the DOCG, like I said, DOCG is better quality. So when people are on social media trying to bash Prosecco, saying it's not good, saying champagne is definitely better, I am convinced that they haven't had quality Prosecco. So with DOC versus DOCG, at least 85% has to be the Glera grape, but a lot of the producers in the DOCG region use 100% of Glera. And the DOCG region, they have to harvest everything by hand because it is so hilly, like the machine wouldn't even fit, which is ridiculous because those is pretty steep. But they have to harvest everything by hand, and they don't produce as much in the DOCG region. And then, like I said, DOCG is Conegliano, Valdiviadene, and Oslo, whereas the DOC can come from that larger Veneto or Friuli regions. So does everybody have, well, I know everybody doesn't, but for those of us that have your Prosecco, what is it that you are getting on the nose? What are you getting on the palate? Now, wait, this is going to be different depending on where your Prosecco is from. Anybody have Prosecco that just says like DOC? Let's start there. If you have just DOC, let's start. And so we can see what the difference is, if any. What does it look like? What's on the nose? What's on the palate? No,
I feel like a light straw.
Can you move yours to the left a little bit?
Can you see
yours
it?
is like a light stroke. Okay, yeah. Oh, yours is really. Anybody else have DOC that is as that looks as light as Wanda's? No. Okay, and so the Prosecco that I am drinking is actually from Conegliano Valdiviadene. You'll often see those names together. It's just that one town, they anchor the area. So they usually put the towns together on the bottle. So mine is from Conegliano Valdiviadene, and I don't know, can you guys see my glass anymore or just the PowerPoint? I don't know if you can see both. No. Yes.
I see it. Yours is
okay.
Darker than mine.
Mine is a lot darker. And where's yours from, Maisha?
I'm drinking the same thing Wanda is.
Right.
What I don't know what I'm doing. DOC Treviso.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. So you can see that once you start getting to the DOCG region, all right, it's going to be probably give you more notes as well. The color is definitely different. What do you guys smell on the nose?
Mine smells a little floral. It's a little floral. Maybe some peach.
Peach. Sharice, what does yours look like? Because you have Prosecco from Oslo, which is
yeah,
mine even different.
Mine is DOCG
from Oslo.
And as you can see, here I'm gonna have to turn my blur off so that you can. It's a darker hue.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost, if you look at it from the very bottom, it's got a darker hue, a deeper straw color on mine. And in terms of flavor content, can you see it?
Mm-hmm.
And in terms of flavor, mine has more green apple on it.
Mm-hmm.
It was.
And I feel like I'm getting more of like peaches, like stone fruits.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, peaches.
And I'm getting
That's what I felt too for mine.
Yeah.
Maisha, you don't
Peaches.
know that?
I did. I said peaches.
Oh,
I said
okay.
peaches first, yeah.
I was too busy running trying to find one that had a G on the end.
It's definitely stone fruit on there.
And look, and I did, but I'm not gonna open another bottle. The whoopee is the Oslo you were talking about that Sharice also has. Hers is from the Oslo area.
Mhm.
But this one is
Okay.
the DOCG. And then this other one that I'm not gonna open.
Mhm. So what are you guys picking up on the palate? Let's see if it's we seem like we all got the kind of the same thing on the nose.
I'm getting pear.
I would say like grapefruit, citrus,
I get a
And
little
where's
bit
your
of
from,
grape.
Alicia?
peach.
Alicia, where's your from?
The same one Maisha and Wanda have.
Okay.
Mhm. Yeah, I taste a little grapefruit as well, Alicia.
Grapes.
Grapes.
All right,
Okay.
Dal.
Mine's may
That
taste a
works.
little different because I'm eating with it. So it's giving it another taste. I'm eating these black truffle potato chips.
That's interesting. Anybody else pairing theirs?
I had fried chicken before the call.
Okay.
Hmm.
Did that change the taste of it for you?
It did. It made it richer to me
Okay.
and gave the
I feel
mouth
like
a weightier feel. This one has a slightly bready note to me.
I feel like I'm getting a little bit of pineapple from mine. Mine is actually acidic. How about
So
y'all?
it's really dry, Erin? Is yours really dry?
No, it's not really. So this is actually, I don't know which one this is. Oh, this is the brute. So yeah. So the normal characteristics that you will usually find from Prosecco, right? It's going to be clear. It's going to be pale. A golden straw. Mine has a little bit of green, like a greenish, color to it. And on the nose, like we said, we all said peach. None of us really said pear or citrus fruit. And then the sweetness will vary. You got pear on yours?
Yes.
Yep. And so the sweetness is going to vary. And now the next slide, we'll talk about the sweetness. Mine is acidic, usually only about 11.5% ABV. Light. Maisha, you did say you were getting some floral notes. And somebody else mentioned apple and grapefruit.
Yeah,
So those are
the
usual characteristics of Prosecco. And so when you talk about sugar content, so Prosecco varies. So this isn't specific to Prosecco, just sparkling in general. So it talks about the level of sugar. So Brut is going to have between 0 to 12%. Extra dry is going to be sweeter. Does yours say whether it is like Brut or extra dry or dry?
Brut.
Yours says Brut, Sharice, on the back. So I think all of ours are Brut so far. So it's going to have between like 0 to 12% sugar. Now, partiti, the part that I said is like the grand cru of Prosecco. It is actually dry. So it is between like, 17 and 32 grams of sugar. So this is a picture from Cartiti. I did a tasting that was at the top and it was absolutely beautiful. Cartiti is a smaller region inside of Vallo Biazene, which is where like the Grand Cru comes from. And it is pretty hilly. But because of where it is on the hill and its direct exposure to sunlight, it is actually really sweet. And so I think this is just another example of you like what you like. Just because it's supposed to be better quality doesn't mean that you will like it. This is the top of the line, and for me, it is actually too sweet. And I actually prefer the other ones a lot more than Cartesi. But it's a smaller area. They only yield about 1.2 million per year, which is a lot less than the other regions. So 1.2 million per year, whereas the DOCG, Conigliano and Vaso Bianze, they produce about 100 million, and Oslo is only about 21 million bottles, but the DOC, you see, is 627 million bottles. So you can see the bigger the region, the bigger the yield, the less, the lesser the quality. Now, this next slide is probably why Prosecco is my favorite. And it comes down to the versatility of it. So what I did not know before going to Italy is that there are many different types and styles of Prosecco. What we are used to drinking and what we're drinking tonight is spumante, which is just the regular bubbles that you see in any sparkling wine. But there are so many different other variations of Prosecco that I really enjoyed learning about. So this one, Profondo, I mentioned earlier that Prosecco is usually the second fermentation is done in a tank. They have a version of Prosecco where the second fermentation happens in a bottle, like champagne. However, unlike champagne, right, they do not filter it. So it is actually unfiltered. I wish you guys can, let me see if I can. I don't know if you could tell from the picture on there. If I put this up here, can you guys see like how cloudy it is through the bottle? No, because the other light is on. But it's actually a lot more cloudy, and that's because the yeast is still and the sediments are still in contact with it during the fermentation. And so those yeasty notes, the leaves, it gives it more flavors of like herbs, apples, citrus notes. And so when I got to try it, I actually did like it better. And I can't remember what I tried it with when I was there, but I actually like the unfiltered better. And this is how Prosecco was made up until the 70s, and then they decided to change it. The other style of Prosecco that I learned about is a frizzante, which Profondo is the frizzante. Yes, yep. Yes, ma'am.
The Profondo is considered a pet though, right?
Yes, I believe so. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then so the frizzante, it just means that it doesn't have as many bubbles. And the packaging is going to look different. It's going to have that little string across, but it's still with the cork. And then my favorite Prosecco, which is a still Prosecco, I don't have anymore. I think I opened my last bottle at Wine and Culture Fest, but the still Prosecco is actually my favorite. There's still some effervescence there, but not as much. Wanda, is that a bottle of still Prosecco?
Yes, this is a bottle of still Prosecco.
So you are very lucky to have that bottle.
I am. I've been saving it.
So yeah, so the still Prosecco was actually my favorite. You still get all of the same notes, just not as many or hardly any bubbles with it. And yeah, that's definitely my favorite. That's all that I really have for you guys. Just other pictures. It's absolutely beautiful. Like if you guys get a chance to go, I highly recommend it. There is a Prosecco vending machine that you can go and get a bottle out of the vending machine and then just sit and watch, look at the view. Absolutely gorgeous. Yeah, I really enjoyed myself while I was there. And like I said, it made me fall in love with Prosecco even more. I think there's a time and place
get
for
around?
everything. So that's funny.
When you're there, how was that?
So
all of these hills.
So you have to drive. And so I actually have some pictures like where I just stopped the car and took, like, you can see like how steep the hills actually are, which is crazy to think that they have to harvest everything by hand. But yeah, so you have to drive, which I didn't know until I took the plane, the bus, the train, and a taxi to my hotel just to figure out that I had to go back to the airport to rent a car. So yeah, that was interesting. But yeah, I think everything has its time and its place. And I just prefer Prosecco. And I also I think the price point is reasonable, right? You don't have to necessarily wait for a special occasion to drink Prosecco. When I was there, I think all of my bottles that I bought were between like from anywhere from $9 to like, I think the most I spent was like $23, $24 on a bottle. So, and that's like DOCG. Like even this Cartizia that I have, I think this was the most expensive bottle, and I think it was like $24. So I think it is much more budget friendly and allows you to, I think, drink it on a more regular. Not that I'm counting y'all money or anything. But yeah, that is Prosecco. Why I enjoy it. All of the vineyards are family owned and family run. So literally, the brother's the winemaker in the back, the dad is in the office, and it just gave me, like I said, a newfound appreciation for it and the hard work that they do.
So I just want to ask Maisha and Alicia, since I know that those are two people that were drinking the same. What did you all think of the Prosecco that we were drinking? Did you like it?
I like it.
I like it too.
Yeah, I like the acidity. I like dry. So, I mean, that ain't nothing new, but I like dry. I like the acidity. The flavors are good. The nose is good. Yeah, I like it.
How about you, Alicia?
I like it, Wanda. I like it has like a different flavor profile to it. It has like more grapefruit to it, but I still like it because it's balanced and it's not like overly acidic.
Now, Sharice, how do you like yours? Because we know that sometimes celebrity wines don't have a good rep, but Whoopi's Prosecco actually comes from the DOCG region in Oslo. I think Vera Ray is just DOC. Yeah, Vera Ray is just DOC, so it's going to come from the bigger region. But Whoopi actually comes from Oslo in the DOCG region. So how did you like that one, Sharice?
I liked this one much better. I thought it had better structure to it, more lift. The acidity it made it really balanced. And I didn't get like a lot of peaches and things like that. I got more like apple and pear and breadiness on mine. Those were the notes. I did get some grapefruit, so it wasn't completely void of citrus fruit. But but I really enjoyed it more than I thought I would. I was prepared not to like it, honestly. But I'm enjoying it.
So I
do you feel like
just in comparison. Since she drunk this, and I actually drunk the Whoopi the other day, and I noticed, for instance, this Lampo that I'm drinking, lots of bubbles. Whoopi, not that many bubbles. Like you pour it in there, and the bubbles were gone in 2 seconds flat.
I will say this, one of the things I did not like about it is that the bubbles were not as effervescent
Mhm.
and didn't last as long as I wanted them to. That was one of the things I did not like about it. But you know, the
But I
bubbles
did
to me
like
are
the,
more like,
did like the prosecco though.
yeah, yeah, but the bubbles were not,
Mm.
didn't have any staying power,
Yeah.
definitely.
I wish I had more still prosecco so everybody could taste it. That one for sure is hands down um my favorite. I know it kind of defeats the purpose to drink a still prosecco, but I think you could really taste the notes when it's still.
Yeah,
But I'll have to
yeah,
order
I
some more.
had
The next
some.
time I order some, I'll let you guys know.
Yeah.
Anybody else have anything? No, nothing. Yeah, I'm not gonna
When
What
you
do.
was
were in
your favorite region
Italy,
in Prosecco?
You said what was my favorite? So it's definitely gonna be bubbly. And my favorite producer, if you can't tell, is Bastia. So they make every style of prosecco. So they have, I don't have a frizzante. I thought I had a frizzante, but I don't. But they make every style. I don't know if you guys can see. Um, this one is my favorite producer. Um, but I always have to order it. Like I order a case from her because they have issues with like shipping, and making it pricing worth it because I think what they was explaining to me is what they want to charge them like to ship and distribute it in the United States, it doesn't make it worth it for them from a profit standpoint. So they want the companies that can mass produce get the better deals, and obviously they can't do that with the stuff that they have. So yeah, that's my favorite producer. Yeah, that is all I have. I mean, I don't want to keep us if we don't, if that's that. Anybody else have anything about Prosecco or questions, comments?
Well, I would just like to say that when we did the Battle of Prosecco, the Proseccos that you did choose from Italy really held up against the champagne that that Wes had. So, people underestimate it, but it can hold its own.
Definitely. And I didn't even have what I wanted to have. I just ordered these. So I feel like if I had what I wanted, I would have won. So I need a rematch. Sharice wanted to get in it too with Kava. That's cool. I'm down with that too. Y'all could lose. You could lose too.
Oh,
That's
okay.
not a problem.
Let's go. Let's go.
That's not a problem. So we need to do another battle of the bubbles. Figure that part out.
In person this time.
Yes, in person. Maybe we might have to probably like sell tickets in advance so I can make sure like I order enough wine or something or some way to get an RSVP to make sure we have enough of everything. But yeah, I'm down for another battle of the bubbles. Alicia, I have never seen a still prosecco at Total Wine or in the United States for that matter. Doesn't mean it does not exist. But I haven't seen seen it anywhere for retail. I always ask about it when I go to different stores, or I've had conversation with distributors, and they look at me like, are you sure it was Prosecco? Like, as if I am ignorant and don't know what I'm talking about. So that's always fun. I'm like, yes, I know what I'm talking about. It's still Prosecco. But I haven't found anybody here yet that distributes it. So I typically just WhatsApp the producer and say, hey, I need another case of X, Y, and Z. And it gets here.
I can't remember who that was sitting at our table from Wine and Culture Fest, but it was the guy that he actually won an award, and they had a wine store, I guess, in New York. Mm-hmm. And you let them taste the still Prosecco, and she said, I remember the young lady who was with said that was the first time she had ever had or heard of it also.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Yeah. I think Prosecco was pretty cool, and it's unfortunate that more people don't know about it and, you know, the versatility of it. But until then, I will keep defending Prosecco loudly. I'm going to convert drinkers one glass at a time. I'm going to make it my mission.
Because they all use that. What is the one? And you said that in Italy, they said basically that was garbage. What one is that?
La Marca.
Yeah.
I asked about, so I had emailed like the company asking like, hey, can I come visit? Like I did with almost every other vineyard. And they never even responded to me. And so when I was asking my tour guide, like, hey, like I emailed them, right, because La Marca is so big in the United States, I wanted to at least go and take a picture. And she was so offended. You would have thought I cussed at her. As offended as she was that I asked about La Marca. She was highly offended. She sucked her teeth at me and she said, La Marca is McDonald's of Prosecco. She said it's crap, I think was her exact words. But yeah, she was very highly offended that I even asked about La Marca. She also felt like that about Cupcake. We rode past I don't even know if you would call it a vineyard, the building that produces cupcakes. It's like all white labeled. She was, yeah, equally as disgusted with them. But I can understand why. Anything else?
Well, I'm just going to say thank you, Erin, for putting this together.
Yeah,
We
welcome.
appreciate your expertise and sharing your experience. If anyone else wants to share their experience, knowledge on any type of wine or spirit, you're more than welcome to. Just hit us up, let us know. It doesn't have to be anything super formal. You don't have to have 50 PowerPoint slides. It can be something very easy. We're always looking for more people to host. So yes, please let us know.